Hi everyone, and welcome to how to create and control particles in Adobe After Effects CC. In this lesson, we'll learn how to create, animate, and control some nice atmospheric particles to add some drama and movement into our project and scene. So to start off, let's create a new composition by going to Composition, New Composition, and let's rename this comp Particles. Make sure you're happy with the rest of the settings here and then click OK. Next, we're going to create a new solid. So go to Layer, New, and select Solid. And we're also going to name this solid Particles. Then click OK. And now we're going to add some particles to the scene. So go to Effect, go to Simulation, and now go to CC Particle World. As we apply the particle world to the solid, you'll see that this sort of default firework style particle is appearing into our scene. So we're going to go ahead and change the look of this using the adjustment tools available inside CC Particle World. So the first thing that we'll want to do is we'll want to explore and open grids and guides here. So let's open that up. And I want to uncheck the horizon axis checkbox. So let's go ahead and uncheck these, as these are a little bit distracting. And I want to uncheck grid as well. Excellent. Next, we'll want to change the look of the particle. So to do this, let's go ahead and close grids and guides for now and open up the particle options here. And now we're going to change the particle type from line to shaded to faded sphere here, like so. And you'll see straight away that the particles have changed. So if I scrub the timeline forwards a little bit, you'll see the different types of particles. So you can actually experiment with the different types of particles here. But we're going to stay with the faded sphere here for now. And now we're going to change the color of our particle. So let's click on birth color here and change the color to whatever you want. So I'm going to go for a light blue color. So if you know the color code here, you can add that in. So the color code that I'm going to go for is 9ED3EF for a nice light blue color, like so. But you can choose whatever color that most suits the needs of your project. And now you can go ahead and choose the depth color as well. So I'm just going to choose another blue, like so. And next we can adjust things like the size of the particle. So in the birth size, let's go ahead and make this a little bit smaller. So I'm going to choose something like 0.15, just to make things a little bit smaller. And you can see now that we can't see any of the particles in our scene, and that's because that the refresh has been disabled. We need to press caps lock again to enable that. So now our particles are back in the scene. Excellent. And now we're going to go for the depth size. So I'm going to change the depth size to something small like 0.01, like so. And this will give us some nice small particles. Now we can set the length of time for how long our particles will stay on screen before they disappear. So if you want your particles to fill the screen a bit, we can make them last a little bit longer. So let's go ahead and do that. So in order to do that, we need to put the longevity to something like 3.5. And that means that our particles will last a little bit longer before they die. or before they disappear. Excellent. Now we can also move our particles to cover the width of the screen. Now in order to do that, make sure you've got your selection tool and go over to the X icon here and just click and drag that across the whole width of our screen, like so. And also move this like so. Excellent. And we can also move the Z axis as well. Now in order to do that, we need to go over to Producer, and if you know the positions that you want, you can actually input the values here. So let's go ahead and input some values. So I'm going to go with 0.14, and for here I'm going to go with 0.23, and here I'm going to go with 0.4, and we're just going to add a little bit of depth into our particle scene. 3, 2, 5, and finally we're going to have 1.05, like so. Now I've just moved the whole particle scene down towards the bottom of our scene here, just so that it looks like the particles are going to be spawning upwards. So from the bottom of the screen to the top. And now if we grab the blue X here, we can actually move the particles around the scene to see where you want to place them, like so. Now you can see there's a little bit more depth to our particles as we move them around, which is pretty cool. Now next we want the particles to have a little bit of physics to them. So in order to do that, let's close the producer and the particles and open up physics. So now that we've got the physics here, we want the particles. Now you can see here that the particles are sort of randomly moving from the background into the foreground, but we want them to move from the bottom of the scene, as we discussed, and float to the top. So in order to do that, we need to change the gravity to something like minus 0.01. Excellent. Let's just move this further down here a little bit. And you can see now that they're starting to float from the middle upwards, like so. Cool. Next, we want to change the way the particles move and animate. So let's go to the animation drop box here. And you can play about with these just to see what sort of animation you want. At the moment, they're sort of it's set to explosive, which means it's exploding from the middle, the X there, to outwards, like so. But we want something a little bit more subtle, so let's go with this one here. Now it's sort of floating upwards. Let's move this further down so you can see what I mean, like so. And now, because the particles are only just starting to give birth in the beginning of our timeline, we want the particles to fill the screen at the beginning. So in order to do that, let's drag the timeline further back, like so. And now you'll see that our animation starts with some particles at the beginning and continues to animate. Now if you wanted particles to start from nothing like this, you can do so like that. But let's fill the screen with some particles first. Excellent. Now another way to control the amount of particles on screen is the birth rate. So let's go ahead and change that here. So, not in particles, so in the birth rate, it's up here. So let's change the birth rate to something a little bit less, so 0.3. So now we have some nice floating particles. So it's a little bit more subtle than what it was before. Cool. Or if you wanted some more particles like what we had before, we can still increase the number to 1. But I'm going to leave it at 0.3 for now. Excellent. Now another thing that's worth mentioning is the seed, which you can find under extras. So if we go to extras, you can randomize the seed, and this will basically change the way that our particles look in the scene. Cool. So now all that's left is to go over to the preview panel here and click on the play button, and hopefully you'll see some nice floating particles in your scene. So that's it for this lesson. I hope you've learned a lot from this demo and that you can apply these skills to your own workflows. I had a lot of fun creating this lesson, so thanks for watching, good luck creating your own particle animations, and I'll see you next time on Tuts Plus.